What's up, people? Another episode of Just for Sport. Jumoke Davis here with you. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the craziest thing I have ever done in sports. But I'm so happy about it. And maybe you can get in on this too. We'll talk NBA Finals. I'm going to give you my gut check picks, my thoughts on Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk a little Stanley Cup, Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers, Major League Baseball. Are the Nationals trending in a direction that we can all be happy with? Maybe. French Open. What's up with USA? Can the men, women, will they ever get over that hump? I'm not quite sure, but we'll talk about that. And, of course, I'm getting to what I did. But first, let's start with the most shocking news in the National Basketball Association, and that was the firing by the New York Knicks of their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. Now, let's start by saying, wasn't a fan of Tom Thibodeau. I know that I say defense wins championships, but I don't necessarily think that you want to have a defensive-minded head coach. And I'd like to think that that's maybe where it begun for James Dolan and Leon Rose and talking to the players about whether they wanted to move forward with Tom Thibodeau as a head coach. Because he didn't seem to be ready to make adjustments. He wanted to stick with what got him to where he is, right? This is the longest run by any Knicks team in a long time. Best run in 25 years, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a big deal. Now, I will say also, this was a completely new team that Tom was getting to learn how to play with, right? Big Cat was not with New York last year. And so I do think in many ways Tom Thibodeau was trying to understand his team and how to work with them. I will say that I think he should have been given another opportunity. But I get it if you also on the flip side say, no, we just need more offense. We need more scoring. And Tom as a head coach is not going to give us that. The bench wasn't what it should be. It is very hard to win in New York, much harder than other cities. But I also say we are getting very close to the point where coaches are fired and hired, very similar to what happens in the NHL. And I don't necessarily like it, right? Mike Malone, fresh in my mind, less than 2 years from winning the NBA title with the Denver Nuggets, and he gets fired with 3 games left in the regular season. Like, come on, I just don't get it. I really just don't understand why coaches aren't given more time. Now, in Tom's case, he was given 5 years. Couldn't get it done. The last time a coach was fired after getting this far in the playoffs was Dwayne Casey with Toronto. And you would, unfortunately, be able to say, and what happened the next year? They trade for Kawhi Leonard. They win the NBA title. I mean, I get it. Nick Nurse was the head coach there. Then he was gone shortly after he won. Mike Budenholzer was gone from the Bucks shortly after he won. What is happening? You can't even win a title, and 2 years later, you stay with that team. There is a short leash. I feel like it might have been Randy Whitman who said, hey, I know I was hired to be fired. And I feel like he may have said that in one of his first early press conferences. You know, it's just, hey, I'm going to do the best I can, and hopefully they keep me around. And it was a bit of a bummer, but I get it. I mean, the weird thing is I know how perturbed that Jalen Brunson was to be asked that right after they lost in Game 6. And almost like, how dare you to a media member ask you that question? And I think that, it was a fair question. Obviously, now you look back on it, it's like, that was a fair question. I don't like how these players jump on some of these media members. They're doing a job, and they know what their job is. And sometimes they may have their nose to the grind and to really know what's going on with the team. Sometimes maybe even more than the players. Hey, Rick Brunson was on Tom Thibodeau's coaching staff. Who knows what that played into the decision of how Tom Thibodeau was let go. But this is a really bad trend. And it's a bad trend because maybe James Dolan and Knicks did on purpose. Why put this news out now, right when the NBA Finals? I feel like the NFL would rarely allow for this to happen, to take away the attention of the Super Bowl. Could be a mistake on my part. This is something that I was just thinking about right now. Not like I said, well, let me think about it. Has any big news ever come out of NFL, a couple of days before the Super Bowl? Maybe not. But this isn't necessarily good for the NBA Finals. The media was already mostly talking about New York more than they were Indiana and Oklahoma City before the firing. Oh, what happened in New York? Versus, wow, this is great what Indiana did. But I kind of get it. New York sells tickets, ratings. Indiana versus Oklahoma City, two small market teams. Ratings probably are not going to be that good, especially when you see that Oklahoma City was a minus 750 favorite the last time I checked. They're going to beat Indiana. If it's a sweep, that's really bad for the NBA. They need it to go 7. They really do. But the question is, can Indiana do that? Now, I will say kudos to both of these teams. The way that the GMs built this team, if you know how much I have been on Sam Presti, ever since he decided it was okay to break up Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Serge Ibaka, whether that was the ownership asking him to do that or he felt, I've got to do it. Bottom line is he did. That was the last time Oklahoma City was in the NBA Finals when they lost to the Heat. They could have beat the Heat. But that was the last time they were there. And I was very, very critical of Sam Presti since then. And here he is. The amazing thing is neither team are in the luxury tax in their salary. That's amazing. They were built the right way. Only Chet Holmgren was a top 3 pick. Everybody else was like pick 11 or lower. SGA, Tyrese Halliburton. They made the trade for Pascal Siakam on the Pacers, so they made some adjustments. On Oklahoma City, Alex Caruso. When I think of Pascal and Alex Caruso, they picked up those veterans, and those are 2 veterans that have been to and won NBA titles. Pascal with Toronto, Alex Caruso with the Lakers in the bubble 2020. I also talk about the fact that I'm not a big fan of any team making their point guard the best player. And yet here we have 2 teams in SGA and Tyrese Halliburton who are their best players. And one of them is going to prove me wrong because what I said was only generational talent, when you make your point guard your best player, can win it all. And that was Steph Curry that I remember. Then you had Magic Johnson, who was generational, 6'9" point guard. Maybe you could say Isaiah Thomas, but probably not. So here you go. The other thing is these are 2 teams that we're going to call the Playoff P playoffs, NBA Finals. Paul George. Paul George was traded from the Pacers to the Clippers. From the Pacers to the Clippers. And the Clippers sent Oklahoma City SGA. You'd think maybe LA wishes they were in the shoes of Oklahoma City? Probably. Tyrese Halliburton. Sabonis was on the Pacers, who they got as a pick. That was part of the picks they got with Playoff P. They shipped Sabonis out to Sacramento, and Sacramento sends Tyrese Halliburton to the Pacers. Thank you, Paul George. Both teams can say, thank you, Paul George. And both Sacramento and the Clippers are at home. What happened? I think they both would want those players back because they've been the darlings of the playoffs. Now, I was sleeping on the Pacers because the Pacers lost to the Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. I thought the Cavs were the better team. And I know in that podcast leading up to the start of the playoffs, I said that the Cavs, it's not the right opponent. You don't want the Pacers. But I still stuck to my guns and saying, no, but the Cavs, they were the best team in the Eastern Conference. They just couldn't get it done. Here we are with the Indiana Pacers, rightfully so. Rightfully so. And the funny thing is, as I talked to you about tanking and how I was upset that Dallas got the number 1 pick, right? We know that was a gimme for what happened with Luka Doncic. They got lucky. Something was in the air. But tanking does allow for teams to get back. And maybe you don't want to call it tanking. Just say the teams aren't that good for a while. Oklahoma City wasn't good for a while. Sam Presti did it right in drafting and trading for players. And now here he is in the NBA Finals with a nice squad that is a core in terms of players they drafted. Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet, and some free agents and trades. It's great. It's great for them. Great for them. Now, there is one thing that yes, Indiana's here because they've got metal. They've been the underdog for a lot of times. I don't like the thought of me being able to say, again, not believing in them. But I'll tell you one key stat that I think is interesting. Obviously, Oklahoma City are number 1 defense and offensive team. The Pacers are the number 2 offensive team. So they've got the offense. But Tyrese Halliburton has only averaged 12 points per game against Oklahoma City. Indiana was undefeated in the playoffs when he had over 20 points. Tyrese Halliburton is going to have to play at an SGA MVP level. The same thing that I said for Anthony Edwards, and he couldn't do it in Minnesota. Indiana's going to have to look at Tyrese Halliburton and say, we need you to play like the Olympic gold medal champion. We need the Tyrese Halliburton that hit game winners. We need you to average over 20 points a game. And I hope that the vet Rick Carlisle, over 65 years of age, going against a 40-year-old Dagnall, that the experience of that head coaching will allow for him to make whatever adjustments he needs for the Pacers to at least make it competitive. I also want to say that the Pacers have the one player that over the last 12 seasons now have won the NBA Finals if they had a former Wizards on their team, former Wizards player on their team. And the Pacers have Thomas Bryant. Is he going to be the good luck charm? We shall see. We shall see. However, my gut check pick is the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6. That's my pick. No, in 5. 5, excuse me. Because I think they'll win it at home. I don't like it. I hope it goes longer. But I think the length of Oklahoma City, the way they play on both ends of the floor, and multiple players play on both ends of the floor, I think they're the better team. Over the regular season, the Knicks did not do well against teams above 500. It is amazing that they got this far. But I think this is where it ends. I think this is where it ends for the Indiana Pacers. And it was a good run. And I want a better finals. I want it to go 7. But I think it'll go 5. I know I'm bummed out too, but I think it'll go 5. I do. Either way, I'm going to enjoy it. It starts on Thursday. I'm going to be really excited for it. I'm going to watch every game. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. What would also be great if somehow my Nats and O's can pull it together. Now, the Nats are obviously in a much better position than you and I all thought. Any of the Nats fans out there, they're 28-32 as I'm recording this. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row, but I thought on that West Coast trip they were playing better. Their run differential isn't good. -42. Only one of 5 teams in the National League that have a negative run differential. The Marlins, Pirates, Diamondbacks, and the Rockies are the only other teams in the red. But there's something about this team that they are hanging in there. They're getting better and better and better. We'll see what happens. I mean, the year that they won the World Series, they were, 18-31? Then somehow they magically turned it around. They're actually better than the Braves, who I picked to win the AL East. Josh Bell is playing better. James Wood is coming into his own. They're still 10 games behind the Mets. And so the likelihood of them catching the Mets, okay, that's a long shot. But if you want to look at, the wild card, if you will, and I know it's early to say that, the Diamondbacks are 5.5 back. Not bad. Now, in that same token, the Orioles are 9.5 games back of the wild card. But the best thing for them, they've won 3 in a row, 6 in their last 10. Maybe they're going to turn it around. Like the Nationals did the year that they won it. They've got a long way to go. They're 14.5 games back of the Yankees as I'm recording this. 10-19 away, 12-17 at home. It's not good. -93 run differential, which is crazy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to compare them to these two teams I'm going to bring up. But the Toronto Blue Jays, second place in the AL East at a record of 31-29, have a -10 run differential. So they're in the red. The Guardians, 32-27, in second place in the AL Central, have a -17 run differential. So maybe you could say it's just about getting the runs when you need them. That may be all it is. They get lucky, win a game here or two, here or there, 3-1, 4-2, 1-0, 7-5. Like just slowly work their way up. Because the craziest thing is they have a 3-game winning streak, which is tied for the second longest winning streak right now in Major League Baseball. I know it's not luck. Chicago Cubs also have won 3 in a row. The Mets have won 4 in a row. You never know. You never know. I wish I was in LA this past weekend. Dodgers-Yankees was a great series. Obviously, that was a great World Series. I predicted the Dodgers will win it all, and they won it all. And I think they're going to go back-to-back and win it all again this year. But that was a great series nonetheless. But the Dodgers are 5-5 in their last 10. They don't have Mookie Betts. He's coming back, or he's going to be coming back. When that team is whole, Shohei Ohtani may be close to pitching again. Watch out. That's what I want to see. When he starts pitching again, I'm going to check out that schedule to figure out when and if I can get in there to see him pitch. That's the one thing I haven't done yet, is seen Shohei Ohtani pitch, right? Did I see him pitch against? No, I don't think I saw him pitch. I saw him hit against the Orioles. That's it. Stanley Cup playoffs. Shouldn't have skipped over it, but I did. Not much. Look, am I going to act like I follow hockey a lot? No. Certainly not a team that's not named the Washington Capitals. But I am excited to see Connor McDavid. As I know I've probably said a million times, it was crazy to be in Toronto for the NBA playoffs with the Wizards. And Connor McDavid, there was a big media scrum around him as we were getting ready to go on the bus. And I was like, who is that? And someone from the hotel was like, oh, that's Connor McDavid. He's going to get drafted into the NHL. Who knew it was going to be this Connor McDavid? He's the MVP of the league in my mind. Greatest player to be playing right now. Better than the great one. The great 8. Not really the great one. I shouldn't have said that. But I want to see McDavid hoist the trophy. Draisaitl. They are great scoring teammates that are going to make these playoffs fun. Florida Panthers, I think the drama of them defending their Stanley Cup. Lord Stanley Cup. You know, they got to defend their title against the team they beat last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. That game's going to start today. Well, as I'm recording this, Tuesday night, but Wednesday is when it starts. I don't consider, which is funny, Matthew Tkachuk said they're embracing the underdog role. I mean, I guess they're underdog because the Oilers are favored at minus 130. But come on, y'all. Y'all have seen how the Florida Panthers were handling teams in the playoffs. At least Carolina. I think that this is going to be a good series. I think it could go 7. It could go 7. And my gut check pick says that Connor McDavid will get his first title. First title for Edmonton Oilers in a long time. But I'm picking Edmonton in 7. I'm picking Edmonton in 7.
A luxury box. These babies don't come.
It's going to be exciting. It really will be. Edmonton in 7. That's my pick. French Open. What's happening in tennis? I was a little bummed to find out that Tommy Paul and Francis Tiafoe from the DMV, they both lost in the quarterfinals. I thought that Tommy Paul had less of a chance to win, but mostly because we all know who Carlos Alcaraz is, and that's who I picked to win it all, was Carlos Alcaraz. But if you ask me, could Francis Tiafoe win against Musetti, I would have said yes. But then he would have lost to Carlos Alcaraz. But I wanted him to at least get to the semifinals. On the other side of the bracket, Jannik Sinner, I expect him to win. And I expect Zverev to beat Djokovic. I think we'll get a Sinner-Alcaraz final, and Alcaraz will win it all. That's my pick. On the women's side, Sabalenka, I think she's got it all. But Swiatek, that's going to be a tall order. That's going to be exciting to watch. I hate that we've got 2 Americans in Madison Keys and Coco Gauff that have to play against each other to decide who will win it. I'm certainly not happy about that. I think it'll be Coco Gauff. She's going to make it to the finals and lose to Sabalenka. That's my pick. Those are my gut check picks. I'm sticking with them. I've been watching tennis, but they have a new broadcast partner in TNT, which was really bizarre for me, and I'm just not really used to it. Every time I went to TNT, it was for basketball. RIP to NBA on TNT. But I didn't have the same feeling on both ends about watching the French Open on TNT. It was just kind of weird. And then the fact that we know that the NBA crew, is going to be on ESPN with Shaq, Barkley. I mean, my thing is, as long as the team is back, then I'm good whether it's on ESPN or not, assuming ESPN will let them do the same kind of show. That's going to be the key. But, I mean, a lot of times I'm watching because I like Shaq and Barkley. And I have to admit this, and I'm sad to admit this, but at the end of the Pacers-Knicks, all of a sudden, it's a shame what happens, but a commercial comes on. I switched to, I don't know what I was, maybe watching baseball. Maybe like Nats were playing in Seattle or something. And I just forgot about the final broadcast. I was like, dang, Jumoke, I thought you loved NBA TNT. I thought I did too. And I just simply forgot about it. It's kind of crazy to forget it like that. But I know they'll be back. And it'll be exciting to watch. But watching French Open on TNT, it's weird. Not really something that I have gotten used to and don't know if I ever will. But we'll get used to it. But I guess over time you will, is what you should say. Something else you're going to have to get used to that I'm trying to figure out how I can go to an inaugural game. Have any of you been paying attention to the FIFA Club World Cup? The inaugural season is coming up right now. You haven't. And the thing is, I wasn't either until I was thinking about it like, wait a minute. Chelsea is coming to the United States? And they're going to play a real match for this FIFA Club World Cup? First game against LAFC in Atlanta? I mean, this is kind of cool. If you look at the teams that are playing, you've got some quality teams here. When I was looking at the brackets, and I was quite impressed. Atletico Madrid, Inter Miami, Bayern Munich, obviously Chelsea, Benfica, Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund, Inter, Real Madrid, Juventus, Man City, Seattle Sounders, PSG. I mean, come on. There are going to be some good games here that you're going to be able to see right here in America. I thought maybe, obviously, you get to see Messi, but you're not going to get to see Ronaldo. Al Nassr did not make it. But there are still some good teams. There are still tickets together. I know it's not the World Cup, but this is something new and unique that's worth seeing. And I'm going to try to figure out how I can get to a match. At least one to see Chelsea play in like legitimate matches. This isn't a friendly. It's like real soccer or football, if you want to call it that. Get to a game. They're playing in Atlanta. They're playing in Philadelphia. There's California. You can see some matches there. Washington, D.C. They're going to get a few matches too. It's going to be fun. It really will. So Chelsea against Lyon. Playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Trying to figure out how I can get down there. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get down there. But that's not even the craziest thing that I wanted to bring up, though. Still with soccer. But that is kind of wild that all of a sudden, here we are, FIFA Club World Cup. I am going to be a minority owner in a football club. It's the craziest thing I've ever done. My brothers went in with me. But I saw something, and it reminded me of the Green Bay Packers when you hear about how the fans own the team. So I figured I'd try it out too. Now, will I say that this is a team that I've ever paid attention to? No. If you gave me an opportunity to become a minority owner at any of the Washington teams or the Baltimore Orioles, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Chelsea, yes, I'd do it in a heartbeat if there was a chance for me to be a minority owner. And if I ever make it big in my profession enough to have that kind of money like they're doing with Wrexham, if I could be a minority owner with a sports team, one that I love, including Chelsea, yeah, I'd do it. But I got the next best thing. And so there was a post by the Carrick Rangers Football Club to become a minority owner. And me with my brothers and my son, we decided to take the plunge. And I will root on the Carrick Rangers in the Northern Ireland Football League. Yes, I am. And my wife, if she ever found out, don't tell her. Don't tell her. She's going to say I'm crazy. I know she will. But I did it. And now I got to look at the league table. I'm checking out the league table to see how the Carrick Rangers potentially could do next year if they're going to turn it around. This year, they were 6-5-9. 20 goals for, 24 goals against. We'll see. 32 points. They were in 11th out of 12th place with a goal differential of minus 27. We shall see. I'm excited. I'm surprised. I think this might be a trend that more teams may do this. Maybe not at the NBA or NFL or Premier League level. But if you're a smaller team, maybe this is something you can do. Now, I'm not going to do this with every team. It was crazy to just pick the Carrick Rangers. I just kind of saw it and saw a post about it. Asked my brothers if they wanted to go in with me. My son was like, well, what about me? What can I go in too? And I said, yeah, sure, certainly. Come on in. Well, I couldn't do my math. He was included in the text chain, but couldn't do my math right. But we all put our money in the pot. I'm waiting for my certificate to say it's official. If it's not official, I'm going to be bummed. But this was their first round raising funds. At least on their website said they reached their goal. And I hope I was a part of that. And I'm going to be looking for my certificate to say I am a whatever the level of ownership it is that I am at. and I am happy for it. I am excited that I did it. And we'll see where it goes from here. I always said I wanted to be an owner. And now I am. A lot of good things have happened in 2024 and 2025. Let's hope it keeps trending upwards. I hope things trend upwards for you too as well. Enjoy the rest of your sports week and weekend with the start of the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals and the French Open Finals. And let's see if our Nats and Orioles can keep trending in the right direction as well. That'll do it for Just for Sport. I'm Jumoke Davis. Ciao for now.